We were just getting started.
It's like sound just went out.
Yeah, we could hear you completely, but you couldn't hear anyone else, apparently.
No. Okay.
I'm glad it wasn't your headphones.
No, it's just like
Only you heard what we were actually talking
Well,
about.
apparently the stream was also like getting some distortion too. Everybody was sounding really distorted. So I have no idea where we're going with that conversation there.
I think you're just really distorted.
Beyond the virus of popularity. Whew.
How does it sound? Ollie will let us know. Jeez, wonderful.
Ollie, oxen free.
Technology is great.
Oh, technology is wonderful. I'm gonna assume whatever conversation was happening where I couldn't hear it at all was important enough to finish up the discussion on Unearthed Arcana. How's that sound?
All right, that sounds all right.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yay, it sounds good.
All right. What? Okay, I thought I heard some meowing noise. I might have. All right. Yes. So now I do want to talk a little bit about Tequendria or Tequendria, or oh my god, I can't pronounce.
Tequila.
God, it sounds a lot like that. Okay, so fantasy role-playing game inspired by the works of Lord Dunsany, who I guess was someone around the same. I don't like.
The turn of the century.
Yeah, turn of the century. Has a lot of unusual stories apparently about fantasy, and this is a game world inspired by him. Everyone can cast spells, interesting enough. They have 20 archetypes that you can choose from, and they have all about this world that's basically... of course, the book includes a selection of fiction by Lord Dunsany.
Lord Dunsany.
Yes, I'm never going to pronounce it right. Sorry, English is not my forte. I barely can speak it in normal conversation, so...
you speak English.
Tequendria.
So this is a really interesting game, actually, because it's sort of like... We see a lot of fantasy games, and I feel like... I feel like it's definitely taking a unique take on it, because it's using something that a fantasy setting that someone's basically already come up with and is sharing it with us that way. I can see that conversation even though I can't read it during the middle of the call.
I know.
Actually, I like it. I checked it out this morning. I got it this morning, and Tequendria, just wanted to look through it and see what we were going to be talking about. And it's pretty much a high magic adventure, but it's a little bit different. It's set up to be easy to start with a really easy role-playing system. That's what they're using. So you're not using a 20-sided die, but you're using what was it, 6, 8, and 10-sided dies. Okay. You only have 3 things you have to worry about: actions. What is it? Actions, ego, and help me out, guys. Actions, ego, and something else.
I'm not on the page that describes that.
Okay. I'm not thinking of it either.
Oh, it's wits.
Action, ego, and wits. Yes. And
yes.
Just those 3 things, and then you have all these crazy kind of characters. So you just roll d20 if you want, up to 20 different kind of characters that have their official backstory already. So you don't have to really worry about that. So you can just jump into a game and be this fantastical creature that's either, some goddess or some undead thing, or a warrior, or a Celador knight, or even a Bathraka cloud mind. I mean, you could be pretty much anything in this high fantasy world. I think it looks pretty interesting, actually.
Yeah, I mean, they've come out with a lot of really interesting role-playing game systems lately, and I felt like some of the fantasy ones were cool, but they never, they didn't feel different enough. And I feel like this one definitely feels like it's different enough than some of the others. A different take on it, definitely. I do like the idea that, yes, we're going to all be... You'd all be spellcasters, That's an interesting... That's not the only fantasy system that I've taken that everyone's magic users, but spellcasters in particular, I don't think a lot of systems say everyone casts spells, Plenty of them say, everybody technically has a little bit of magic in them. They just use their magic for, I magic sword swing or something,
No, it's definitely an interesting take on the fantasy realm, and something I would be interested in trying. Hey, maybe has it been published, or is it just PDF right now?
I think the publishing version isn't out yet. I think it's only the PDF version right now. I don't know what their schedule for the physical book will be, unfortunately. I haven't been able to find that in my searches.
Yeah, I
okay,
found the PDF version.
Yeah, the PDF version's definitely out now.
You can get the RPG now, and it's by donation for now, so it's a good time to pick it up if you want to explore a new kind of role-playing system, a new game. That's what I just did this today. I picked it. I think I might try to play it too because it looks good. And if you like it, come back and get some money to the person who created it, Mr. Malthouse.
Yeah, definitely looks like a very cool one to see. And since it is right now, pay what you want. It's the good price, and definitely I would say for those, if you ever do one of them, try to be at least a relatively respectful to the person that made it. Give them a little bit. Just don't be cheap.
Yeah, even $1 goes a long way too for these guys that put it out for free.
Yep.
Yeah, I even read somebody said they initially downloaded it for free, but then they went back and paid it because they really loved it.
Nice.
I mean, that's what I think you should be doing. I mean, I think that's what the whole idea is. You give this a little bit of money. If it's a new system with a new game that has no reputation, okay, you give it out, you let people try it out, play it, and then get the word out. And then if you really like it, you'll come back and you'll show some respect for the creators. The person spent like up to years creating this system and creating this game, this world. Because he's literally, this person, Scott Malthouse, and the other editors, has spent a very long time creating worlds. I mean, you don't just make it over the day and like, oh, look, I'm going to get rich. No, they're doing it out of passion. And that's something I think we as game players and role players and crafters and creators need to really respect because, well, it takes a lot of, sometimes takes more than our day job.
This is true. I definitely agree with that. It's like I'm known for what I do now on YouTube and Twitch, but I work on writing RPGs myself. Haven't published anything, but maybe I want to at some point in time. Have ideas for things, and the fact is, it's sort of like you want to be able to take that to the community and get the respect for all the work you put in for it, no matter what form that takes. Because I mean, it can take a lot of forms.
Infinity.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And this one definitely looks very cool. So I'm very happy to have seen it basically and like noticed it and discuss it a little bit too. Cause the thing is I don't get a lot of chance to read a lot of any kind of fiction or anything or any kind of books. I don't have a lot of time usually to throw a lot of them in. And it's interesting to at least be able to learn about a author that has a lot of work behind them, and I can do it in a way that, maybe I can fit it in for the time I'm hanging out with my friends, that I would have already been hanging out with them anyway. Hey, let's do this role-playing game instead. I can learn a little bit about his work without having to, worry about the fact that I might not have the time to read all his work, I like that a little bit too, It brings in a little bit of more of literature into my gaming. I can respect that.
Definitely, totally.
Yep.
I'm curious, Matt, have you looked at the 20 different races? Which one do you think you'd like to play most?
I haven't had a chance to look over all of them, so...
Look at page 5. I mean, look at the titles, I suppose. I mean, for me, I like the Aether ships. It's they sound really interesting because you can actually go to 2 different worlds by flying. Not different lands, but different worlds.
Mm-hmm.
But have you looked at any... I haven't looked at them in detail either, because I just got it this morning. Thanks to you pointing it out to me. I never knew anything about this game system, or this game in general, but it looks really, really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, well, I'll take a look, and...
I think the Aether ship pilot looks cool.
You're like a Han Solo of the worlds.
Yeah, or kind of like a steampunk-ish thing, which I really like, so... And you start with starting equipment, you get a duster jacket.
Yes.
Now, I saw something about shards in this game, but I don't really get what the shards were all about.
I think that's their money, is what I'm thinking, because everyone gets it seems like a lot of people get 2d6 times 10 shards.
Okay.
So I'm guessing, or d6 times 10. It sounds like it might be their type of money.
Now, the thing I thought was interesting. Sometimes you have like for example, you'll have a Reaper Mancer. But if we were playing with a group, I was wondering, how are you going to play together if, say, one of you is a Celador Knight and the other one's an Ember Goblin who likes to play in the lava and wants to get new friends who play in the lava with him, so they all die.
Come play in the lava with me.
It's kind of like I was looking, like, how are the PCs supposed to react to each other without wanting to kill each other all the time? How are you going to keep that dynamic? That would be an interesting part for me as a role player or as a dungeon master or game master, as well as a player. How would that be balanced out? I'm not quite sure.
True. That's true. Balancing everything out, definitely. I'm just finished looking through here. So, or
a jewelry thief and then a Celador Knight. What I liked is the Fallen Monarch. The Fallen Monarch was, from what I read, he was a monarch who owned his own kingdom, and suddenly one day his kingdom just tragically crashed, and magically his whole kingdom rose up into the air and disappeared, and he managed to fall off of the freaking face of the earth and land, and now he's just like a homeless dude just trying to figure out what the hell happened to my life.
See, these are the kind of stories that I think are like, they're great. They really are like awesome that they have here. So
you can play Dude, Where's My Kingdom?
Oh my god.
Dude, have you heard of this kingdom?
It flew off into the air, and I don't know where it went.
Yeah, do you got any more of that stuff?
Yeah, sorry. I'm trying to put this on this computer because I had it on a different computer, so I'm trying to like get it to work here. And it's not! Yay! So
technology hates you, Matt.
Oh, it's really hating me today. So, I'll have to let you know in the future what I want, since I'm not getting cooperation on this computer right now, since technology apparently hates me. The Dropbox work?
Okay, I literally bought it, and now I'm looking at it. What did you want to know?
Yeah, I've been looking at it too.
What class you might like, or archetype? I'm sorry.
There's so many.
Character, yeah, we have like a lot of them. Boons and Mystics are interesting.
I really like the sound of the Bathraka Cloud Mine. Mostly because it's really cool to say.
Really cool to say. Always makes it much better.
Yeah.
Bathraka reminds me of some Mortal Kombat character. What was his name? Bathraka or Bathraka?
Yeah, the guy with the sword arms or something. Yeah.
No, with spikes coming out of him, if I remember right, with that coming out of his arms.
Wasn't it like he had spikes that could come out of his arms and he could like come out now? Baraka?
Baraka, yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'd just get rid of the TH. No more Bath. He's just this guy's just cleaner than Baraka.
I like Doomgaunt. I like the you need no sleep.
Oh.
Because I have that with my D&D character right now. So to make it fair, I like meditate for like 4 hours. But because other than that, I was like, what do I do at night? I just stare at a wall, like watching everybody creepily.
This guy is kind of like creepy though. He's a Doom guy. He's like literally an ancient skeleton, this blackened skeleton that you're playing with. I mean, imagine walking around town with the blackened skeleton on your side. Of course, nobody would mess with you, but...
No. It sounds cool, though. I like the sound of it. Oh, but a sorcerer?
Okay. Just take them, please, and go.
All right. I think I might have to, like, give up on attempting to get this to work here again. But, sounds like this is a cool one to check out. We do recommend... I guess all of us kind of recommend if you want to check it out. It's pay as you need, and hey, this one might be an interesting one definitely to do. But why don't we move on though to the tabletop gaming and magic cosplay? And Arielle, I want you to lead this because, I mean, again, I could say I'm a big fan of cosplay, but as someone that can respect a lot of work that goes into it, and it's very cool to see. But I don't do it. I know a couple of people that have dabbled in it, but that's about the extent of my abilities. So why don't you lead the way here?
When I first got into cosplay, I didn't really expect to like be doing it and like playing games and whatnot. But I've been noticing it's slowly grabbing on to not just magic, but other things as well. So like I said, my brother-in-law works for Uncle's, and they do this thing in Seattle called the ETX Game Expo, and they're doing a Game of Thrones tournament and oh my god, what's it called? I just forgot. Netrunner tournament. Ooh, and I was like, oh, he was like, well, if you dress up as one of those characters from Netrunner, then you can, you know, come in for free. And I was like, I don't have a Netrunner costume. But it's becoming more of those things. And, you know, I feel like what I like is it's kind of slowly replacing that stigma of like booth babes that used to be around.
Yes.
And more of like appreciation for the characters that people have created, you know, within the game, like the developers and all the people, what they put in. And it is becoming more and more widespread in Magic, which is awesome because Magic itself as a community has grown a lot. When I first started, and it still has a lot to do because as a woman playing Magic, I still get a little like side glance, or sometimes people like, I don't play F&M anymore because of one time I played and this guy was just like so rude to me, and I was like, I can't do this, because he just assumed I was bad at the game, but it was my first F&M ever, so it was like I had a decent deck, it was just kind of slow, but that is still baby steps. But I've noticed when I'm in a costume and I go and play, it's like everyone's just so excited. They don't care if they lose, you know, you don't care if you lose. It's just this really cool environment because you're sharing a passion for something, and they're literally like sitting across their favorite planeswalker or whatever. During Aether Revolt, I was dressed up as Chandra, and we had like the Chandra table because it was hard to move around. So I'm just sitting there, and people got to come play Chandra, which was really fun. I think somebody like played Chandra, and I was like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
But and if you've maybe seen the news spreading around on Twitter and whatnot, MJ, who's Moxie MTG, she's honestly like the forefront in this movement, I have to say. But she's started putting together Planeswalker summits for GPs, and so we're doing our second annual one at GP Vegas, and it's going to be even bigger now because the Magic Art Show got completely funded to their stretch goal, which means that like cosplayers can actually get some sort of compensation to work at the art show, which is great because cool. You know, I wouldn't have mind volunteering. I know I'm in a better place than a lot of other people in my life, but there are people who really struggle and don't have funds or whatnot, and just standing around all day can really be a burden. But it's great because now these people put in all the hard work to make something, but they also get to then display it and help display all this other art made by wonderful, talented people, and they get a little bit back, which I think really was showing how caring the Magic community is about the art aspect, which I know it's not everyone's thing, but it made me really proud and happy because like this is not easy and it's not cheap. So it was kind of nice to see that appreciation. And I love dressing up and playing at events. When I sat down to do the pre-release the other day, I was like, I haven't been in normal clothes at a pre-release since I don't remember. But
wow.
I totally went off on a tangent. I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, I mean that's a lot of what it really is the everything with like the art show and then getting the cosplayers. I did end up putting my support in there too. I don't have a lot of extra cash, but I decided to throw in some too, I have to note. And I'm not going to make it to Vegas, but you guys just have so much passion. I kind of had to like help you out a little bit there too. And that's the thing, is there's a lot of passion behind it, which I can also respect. And that's one of those things about the community. It's like, again, as I was saying, like, the cosplay community has been growing over the years, and this one for Magic and Tabletop is newer, but you have just as much passion as everyone else does, and that's something to be respected about it, you know? And I feel like it needs more recognition, you know, that... And it's like there's a lot of fandoms out there, too, now. Like, you know, people can recognize someone dressed up as a Magic player, or a Magic card, or someone might recognize you dressed up as, like... I guess there's, like, also, like, some of the more famous, like, Dungeons & Dragons streams. They've got, like, for, like, Critical Role or Dice Camera Action.
I have one of those.
Yes. But it's the fact that they can get recognition now, and people will be excited about those. More than just, like... I mean, there's always, like, people that dress up as very obscure things. Like, our friend Cindy, mine and Joe's, who, when she would dress up for stuff, would always choose, like, the most random things ever. Which was good for her, but, you know, it's sort of like half of the ones she chose no one's going to recognize. But that's okay. She still wanted to.
I mean, the closest I would say I ever did was that before cosplay was really even a thing was when I used to go to Star Trek conventions. I would dress up as Worf for most of the time, and then the last convention I attended, which was, God, probably 15 years ago now, because they just got really too expensive, was I did a half Klingon, half Ferengi.
Whoa.
And I had a bunch. Well, there in DS9, the one character Quark ended up with a female Klingon, so I was their love child.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I
And
forgot about that.
I had a bunch of Klingons who came up to me and like, "What the hell are you supposed to be?" And I told them, and one of them looked me directly in the eyes and said, "Looks like something that should have been aborted."
Oh. And so I was gonna follow up with, but I feel bad saying that after that. But in the community, I enjoy that people can put in that creative aspect, whether people enjoy it as well or not.
I kind of feel like they did that.
I think they still enjoyed it. I think they were just in their Klingon role and was commenting as a Klingon probably would have.
This is true.
I had a lot of people who stopped me and were just like, "That's really interesting."
It comes back to people either bringing their own characters to life or redrawing something, or you see a lot of crossplay and things, which is so cool that people do that and then everyone else can appreciate it. I love it. I'm not that creative. I can make something that's in front of me and drawn, but I am very bad at pulling something out of the air and being like, yeah, I can make that. No, I gotta have a picture in front of me. But so I envy the people that can look at something and be like, yeah, I can do this, and then
I envy people like you who can actually create the things. I can do makeup.
Same.
The rest of it is stuff that I buy. Like, I was still wearing my Star Trek uniform for the rest of my costume because I cannot sew and I do not create things like that. So I'm just like, well, I have this. I can do the interesting makeup part of the aspect. I already have the things to do that with, so I'll go in that direction, and the costume's kind of just what I have.
I kind of envy all of you guys that have that access to the many different communities that are being a traveler and traveling around. I found it, some of these kind of communities, the gaming community isn't as big or well known in other countries or cities outside of the US, Canada, or UK. But one thing I found is I'm planning on doing some cosplay myself for the upcoming show I'm doing, where I'm going to be playing these two characters for the show. But I can't craft. I cannot do what Air Bubbles does. I can't make things on my own, really. I just have no skill with my hands. I just have skills with my voice. So I'm outsourcing, and I found cosplay costume makers, costume designers. I found makeup artists, and I'm just like, hey, what do you think about this idea? You want to help me? And they're like, oh, okay, let's try it. So I like that you can still build a community. If you're really excited, you can actually make friends and meet new people just by showing your excitement and emotion about what you want to do, and create something new, or say, hey, look at this picture. Do you think you can do this? And some people will try to reach out and say, yeah, let me try it. That sounds challenging. That sounds like something I would like to try.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I try to make sure to suppress the stigma that some people have tried to spread, which is if you didn't make it yourself, then you're sad or something, which isn't true, because there are things I'm not great at. I hate props. I hate props with the fiery passion of 1,000 suns. So I try and hire other people to do them. I'm very lucky, and I have a friend who has a 3D printer and a big shop and all that. If you saw pictures from Emerald City, I was dressed up as Yolder from Destiny, and I had this huge machine gun that he completely 3D printed and put together and painted for me, because I was like, nope, I'm not even gonna try, because if I did, it would have been hideous. And I would prefer to carry something around that I love and want to look at than feel sad and upset about something. So I think it's great that we have this community that people can share. I'll even I can sew, but I will even hire people to make stuff for me if I either don't have enough time or if I know that they can do it better than me. Because if I'm not going to enter in a contest, then why not? I want to be comfortable. I want to feel great. And if somebody else can make it better than me, then sure, let me pay him for it. Like, so I hate that that's a stigma that people are trying to spread. And I just try and like bring it down and be like, no, are you good at everything? Probably not. So it's okay.
Yeah, there was a stigma, Arielle. Thanks for pointing that out.
I've only seen it just because I'm so like ingrained into the community, and I'm a part of a bunch of different ones. So I've seen it mostly towards like the really famous cosplayers. Like say what you will about Jessica Negri, but I feel like she had to start making her videos of her making stuff because people were giving her crap that she didn't actually make her own costumes. So she was like, okay, I'll start filming me making them so you believe me. And I hate that because they're like, a beautiful woman like her can't possibly make all of her stuff. Yeah. But you can. So, and that's kind of where it started, was more with the famous people. Or if you get so well known enough that you turn it into a career like Yaya Han did, she will actually pay other people to make stuff for her. And whether she gives proper credit or not, I don't know, I don't care. But I had a lot of people come up to me and be like, well, yeah, but she doesn't make her own stuff. And I'm like, but she did. That's how she got to where she is she worked her butt off and made a ton of stuff. I'm like, if I ever get that famous and have that much money, I will totally pay people to make stuff for me. And when I have time, I will put all my effort into one thing myself. But if there's something I want and I don't have enough time to make it and I have the money to pay for it, I'll pay somebody else for it.
That's the perfect sentiment that applies to a lot of us. Like, I can say the same thing for I feel like when I'm making videos, I'm creative. That's my version of creativity currently. I would love to pay someone to edit. I hate editing. Editing a video is like, it's like, okay, yeah, I get to watch myself for like another half an hour and cut down on that some more, you know? And then, like, it's like, as much as I love any of the Magic the Gathering videos I do, I'm adding, like, 80 images into a video that's, like, 15 to 20 minutes. Blah.
Editing, I was trying my hand at being a travel blogger for a while, and I didn't do bad at all, but I found that if I edited my own video, it looked like something that some kid might have made in their garage, where if I had, somebody who was a little bit more experienced, it would look like something that's professionally, like, polished and all that good stuff. So it's like, yeah, I hear you. Everybody has their own talents, and I think what the great thing about community is, what I found in Twitter and some Facebook communities, is that it's a community. People want to help each other out because they're really passionate about the subject. They're really passionate about bringing this, giving a bigger platform for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Now, I have a question for everybody.
Joe.
Who was your idol for cosplay?
But
like, what got you inspired?
Oh, Joe, you had something?
I'm actually going to pop out now, so
okay.
I can get up towards you, so we can make tabletop day. So I just want to say goodbye, everyone.
I might have to play around with cameras, so if you want to talk about, like, why don't we actually save that cosplay one for a second, because I've come up with an actual better question than one I had originally for that. Is what is our gaming sage advice is going to be that basically I'm going to ask people who inspired you to join the various tabletop things that you do, and that's actually would be an interesting one to discuss, because it's going to reflect a little bit upon finding an inspiration out there. But before we get to that, why don't we, since Joe's heading off, hit you can go ahead and head off. I'll adjust the cameras when we do it while we're doing stories from the table. I was going to use that as an excuse too.
See everyone tomorrow for our Treasure of the Lost Legions. I can speak today.
For our D&D stream. Yes.
Yay.
Bye.
So cameras are going to go crappy in a second, but I'll fix those in a minute. So why don't we do our stories from the table, and then definitely that's a great question. Like inspiration that you helped out there. Thanks, Josh. I like that one a lot better than the question I had. Okay, so and there goes the cameras. God, only one of them stayed fine. Great. So stories from the table is where I ask, usually, depending on who's there, if it's a repeat guest towards me or Joe, something that we've already, I usually come up with a topic, but for new people, some kind of story. whether it's from a role-playing game that you played in, like a Magic deck that you built and like kind of like story behind building it, or even like if you had a tabletop board game that you played and it was just this awesome session of it that something crazy happened in, you know, like an Arkham Horror where you managed to pull out the win at the very end kind of thing. Share something that's a passionate part of tabletopping. Why don't we start with you, Matt, because you haven't been had a chance to be in some of the conversations here for a second. So.
Oh, okay.
Arielle,
So
weird.
I know. I worked on it for about 20 minutes.
Did you get you must have got that dwarven belt of beards.
Yeah.
I'm adjusting. I'm adjusting. Give me a minute. Introductions first, and then adjust cameras for everyone. Okay, go ahead.
All right, so the question is like, I guess memorable time playing tabletop.
Yeah, something that inspired you.
Something that inspired me.
Well, like not just like inspire. Well, no, that was the other question. It's like something like like an awesome deck or something you build. That's the first. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I mean, I love telling this one RPG story. About how I completely broke a game, and the DM allowed it, even though he didn't know my ulterior motives. Have any of you ever heard of the game Torg?
Torg. I personally have not.
It was an old role-playing game. I think it came out in the 80s or the early 90s and never really had much traction. It's called The Other Role-Playing Game, and basically the way the DM that I played with rolled it out was you could literally pick any kind of character. You just make a character up on the fly. If you want to make a popular character like Spock or Darth Vader, you could play him, and he would just sort of, you know, the enemies that you fight. He had it all written down. I don't remember how it all went, but basically I created a character that I called Syntax, and I remember asking before, I can literally make any kind of character, right? And he said, yep. It's like, all right, I'm going to make a single-celled amoeba. And I'm like, is that okay? He's like, yep, what are its powers? Because you could choose 3 powers. And I just remember one of the powers was mind control. And
I can see where this is going.
Yeah, so I apparently, I don't remember how many sessions in, but it was the session where we meet the big bad guy of his campaign. And I managed to take over the big bad guy's brain, and he allowed it. You know, I kept on asking him ahead of time, like, are you sure? Are you sure? And I kept on winning all the rolls against him, because the way the rolls went was whatever you wanted to do, you'd have to roll a d20 against the DM, and whoever got the higher number, you know, you win, pretty much. So I just remember I took over the big bad guy's brain and just kind of wrecked his game. I've always found that pretty funny, and I mean, it really pissed him off, but it was just sort of like, well, you know, you kind of let that happen. So that's my story.
That's pretty good. Oh my god, an amoeba, that's hilarious. That's something my brother-in-law would have done, I won't lie.
That's different.
I like it, though. I like it. That's a good one. Okay, Josh, how about your story next?
All right.
Since I'll go clockwise because I like clockwise, and Joe's not here to skip him. So ha 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 ha.
So you want me to come up with a gameplay, something that was really fun and exciting during gameplay that might inspire other people to roleplay?
Well, at this point in time, it's just a story. I mean, the inspiring role-playing we're gonna move on to right after here. But there's more like a cool story that you have right now that's memorable. Again, like if for reoccurring guests, I usually like try to come up with some kind of suggestion for a topic. But for this, feel free to share a story.
All right. First game I ever played was 3.5 edition Dungeons and Dragons back in 2014, I think. After I came home for a brief spell, and I was what was I? A halfling, I believe, rogue, who was also multi-class into arcane trickster, and went to like level 20. But at the very end of the game, there was a lot of overpowered kind of game where like everybody was just metagaming. Everybody was metagaming, and It was DM'd by my brother-in-law, who gave favor to his best friend and my sister. So when one of the characters died, I was given a ridiculous object that was useless. My sister was given 700 silver pieces. And so as a halfling trickster, I did one of those things that you're not supposed to do and, steal from your own party, but I did it in a way that was really creative, and it was just, what I ended up doing is pretty much they're all in the bar, and I was leaning against, I role-played and talked my way into, oh, what are you doing? Are you leaning against the wall? Yeah, okay. And then this brutish, one of the other PCs came over. He was just like an orc fighter guy. And he says, I came in and say hello. I was like, oh, did you touch her? No, I didn't touch her. Did you touch her on the shoulder when you said hello? Oh, yeah. Like, great. I used that as a distraction, and I pickpocket, and I had to roll pretty much a 20 to be able to get away with this. And I did. But the thing I loved about it was, of course, I gave all the silver away, and then I used all that money to make myself famous. Because earlier we had gone against the dragons, so what I did is I published my own story as the halfling, the dragon slayer who got the girl, and published my own story, made dolls, and I became pretty much a bard while playing this other character. It ended up being a lot of fun, which could have been something that I could have broken the game and broken all the rules. Of course, I was told I could never steal from the party again, but I found it was so much fun because the way role-playing games work, you could actually create that kind of scenario where pretty much I rewrote the story, giving myself all the credit for killing a dragon, even though I only got one shot in, and it actually ended up being like the killing shot.
Oh, that's amazing.
I called myself Dorian, the halfling, Dorian, the halfling dragon slayer, and that was the name of the book, and How to Catch the Girl.
It's wonderful. It's great.
It's magic.
Arielle, do you have one to share with us?
Okay. I'm gonna break the rule. I hope that's okay. I have like 3 very short ones.
Okay, we can take 3 very short.
Okay. The first one, so like the first session of D&D I ever played, I learned very quickly that the DM will take everything you say seriously. And so it was me, my brother-in-law, my sister, my mom, and then our friend, who was the DM. And yes, my mother plays Dungeons and Dragons.
That's
and
awesome.
I actually was the same kind of character I still play now. We sort of carried it over because our session died, and anyway. But I had lightning then. I have fire now. But so my brother-in-law's character's name was Zav. So Zav was getting up on a horse with my sister's character. They each had their own, and I was like, I'm gonna throw a lightning bolt at Zav's horse. Tee hee. And my DM was like, roll a d20, and I was like, I was just kidding. He's like, roll a d20. I was like, okay. I rolled a natural 20. So he flew off the horse. The horse like ran away, and I was just like, oh my god, okay, I have to be careful now about what I say in front of the DM because he'll believe everything I say. But now later, more recently in the campaigns we have now, I thought when the Kenku was first released, I was like, oh, I really want to try this because it's going to be a lot different and kind of fun to play, and I don't have to talk or think about what to say. It's great. And I killed our whole party because I ended up choosing these certain feats of I was a criminal. I was really good at pickpocketing. I was supposed to be like super stealthy, but I did not care about danger. And so that was like, oh, good. So if it looks like it's safe, I'm not going to give a crap. Or even if it's dangerous, I don't care. So the stealthy was so dumb to have. So I'm like, we go into this mill, and I was like, oh, it looks great. And I just walk up these stairs, decide not to stealth at all, swing open this door, and there's like 20 bad guys with spears, and I just like instantly die. Like, and we're all level 1 still. So I wiped our whole party except for 2 people. And so they got captured and were taken alive, but the rest of us all died. And so when we restarted, because we're like, well, that was fast, we should probably continue this campaign, I was like, I didn't get to play this Kenku long enough, and I really liked it because it was different. So I decided to be this Kenku cleric now. Older, different, you'd be able to tell a little bit. But the 2 people who were alive hated the other Kenku. So, of course, when they come to consciousness and see another Kenku trying to heal them, they're like, ah! But and our DM let me be like this traveling salesman, like the old-timey traveling medicine people. And so I just have this cloak filled with potions that I don't really know what they do, but I think I know, so I just hand them to people. So with one, our druid, she was like, oh, I'm not feeling well still. And I was like, oh, here. And I hand her this potion, and we roll to see what happens. And he rolled hair loss. So all of her hair just fell off. And I was like, huh. And I just like
That's a
take
good
the
look.
notes and like, I'll fix this later.
Here,
But-
would you put this cloak as well?
So it's fun because starting from the 3.5 that we first played to now, it's like so cool to see how much you can do with a character. And I used to be really set on being this like undead revenant sorcerer, but now I'm like, no, it's so much fun to create all of these stories, even from stuff that you've learned in history. Like I Googled all of the potion, like the old timey medicines, like we've got laudanum and all those things. I have them written down. Okay, that was
impressive.
long.
That's
Sorry.
That's dedication right there.
It was fun, so I love it a lot. So I'm gonna try and not kill my party again.
That's always a good goal. Okay, those are some great stories, actually. Thanks, everyone. So we're going to finish up with our last segment, of course, Gaming Sage Advice, where I like to ask a question, and Josh brought together a perfect question for this year. So I'm going to say it this way, is like, who inspired you to get into the various tabletop loves you have, and where do you feel like someone could find that said inspiration in their own life if they are seeking to... Maybe they've got a little interest, but they haven't gotten the same passion, that you want. We'll kind of go. Let's go in the reverse of what we did before. So, Arielle, why don't we just continue with you, and I'll finish up.
Okay. You're not tired of hearing my voice yet? No.
If everybody doesn't get tired of hearing my voice, I mean.
Just sing your songs.
It's so weird. I feel like I just kind of like fell into everything. But as far as like looking for inspiration, if you kind of feel like you're dead in the water or your friends live far away or whatever, or they have different work schedules, which we definitely have right now. My boyfriend and I are the only people in our friend group that work Monday through Friday. So that's fun. But I would say I've met so many people that have introduced me to new games just going to actually pre-releases for Magic. Imagine that. Our DM now is somebody for my second campaign is someone I met at a pre-release. So you can just find them that way. I'd say like go to a game shop. If you're really shy and that's not your thing, like I know we were talking about a lot of like online resources and whatnot. There's a lot of, or start listening to a podcast of like a game. So like there's Critical Role, and then of course there's Adventure Zone that the McElroy brothers do, which I just started listening to. I love them so much. But and then you can join those groups. There are tons of Facebook groups with those people, and then you can reach out to them because they're gonna all be game nerds just like you are, and they'll know games and you can play with them online. Like that would be more if you're really shy and don't want to go out in person, which I totally understand. If my brother-in-law didn't work at a game store, I probably wouldn't go to one. But that would be a great way if you're super shy. And or if you're in school, there's a lot of game clubs out there that you can go visit as well. And but as far as the inspiration, I gotta say my friend Blake, who I've known since for like over 10 years now, was the person that really brought gaming into my whole family. I remember playing Catan and Munchkin. Those were the things that just like embedded it into our family, and we're like, okay, we're gonna play these all the time now.
Cool. How about you, Josh? How would you kind of add to this with getting of your own inspirations too?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I'm getting back into it. I for the longest time I didn't do anything related to gaming. I just traveled and worked around the different parts of the world, so I wasn't really exposed. I've never been to an exposition. I've never been to a pre-release. And finding inspiration, I actually got my first inspiration about Dungeons and Dragons from Christopher Perkins from one of his shows with the celebrities. That was the first time I was like, wow, that's what D&D is supposed to be about, not what the game I was playing was. And then later on, I got into Critical Role, I think a year and a half ago or something like that. I started watching. I was like, whoa, this is incredible. That's when I got my first 3 books. But what I found is some other cosplayers, actually. Miss Sinister came to mind. This person gets really into character. She dedicates all of her time to like really get into character and really inspire people to try to be something. Then later on, the Critical Role started having their cast dress with their characters as well. And I found a lot of inspiration in that, and that's kind of what I'm doing now. To give inspiration for people like, I guess, like me that live outside the U.S. or outside the zones of geekery, I should call them, or geekdom, I would recommend going online like I have, or creating your own areas, going to meetup.com and starting a group on meetup.com or something like that, saying, hey, let's do some cosplay, or let's go to the board game meetups, and create your own if there's not one already existing. That's some of the ways I'm finding to be able to get into the community that's offline, not just online, because so far it's only been online that I've been able to connect with people and get ideas and get inspiration and get encouragement. But you're always going to find encouragement online in those kind of groups, like Twitter, Facebook groups, things like that. But to start your own, go to meetup.com and start one there, or just look around, Google it. For me, I'm in Mexico. There's not really that much, but I am starting to find as I connect with more Mexicans here, they're like, oh, actually, have you heard there's a special term for geeks called freaky? It's F-R-I-K-I. I just found that out yesterday.
Cool.
So those are different things that I found. But voice acting, of course, as well, what Ollie Rent was just mentioning. I really love doing voices, and that's watching Critical Role as voice actors doing. I was like, wow, that's incredible. Now, of course, everybody wants to be a voice actor. But I think it's good, though. I think it's, even though everybody wants to try it, at least it's pushing people to try something new. They're inspiring people. And I think that's what our jobs, or not even jobs, but I think that's what keeps it growing, keeps the community growing and together and tight, is that we're inspiring new ideas. And then once in a while, you'll get somebody who has actual real new idea, and they go off and branch on their own and create another community, and then another community. And that's how you grow communities where people become critters, where people become, I don't know any other ones actually.
Yeah, it's been great, like seeing, like, I've seen people who come to me for saying I've inspired them, and then I see them win like huge costume tournaments and then move on to like even bigger ones, and I'm like, oh my god, and they still think I'm like amazing, and I was like, look what you've done.
All right, Matt, how about you? How about your entire thing about your inspiration to getting into all the communities and stuff like that?
I don't know who exactly inspired me to start playing Magic. I mean, I was a little kid, but as far as getting into content creation for Magic, I definitely attribute that to my good buddy Corey, who just basically, he was wanting to start a podcast about audio engineering, because that's what he does. So he just said, hey, why don't you start a podcast about Magic? And I'm like, okay. And so basically that's how it started. And from what I've learned doing it is, I mean, you can probably apply this to anything, is not being afraid to try new things, not being afraid to fail, not being afraid to, I guess the way to describe it is, don't be like everyone else, take inspiration from others. Because I listen to, since I'm in the podcast world, I listen to so many podcasts, not just Magic ones, but, gaming ones, political ones, all that sort of stuff. And I take inspiration from all those and try to apply it to my podcast as well. And it's, like I said before, I've tried many things that, I think will sound good and they come out crappy, or, then I try something I don't really care about, but people seem to like it, and,
Yeah.
That's basically about it.
Yep. I think we've said the best parts about, what truly you should have for inspiration. Like, for myself, I have to attribute most of my love for both role-playing and Magic to my brother. Because he brought home all this stuff and was like, here, let me, play around and play test things with you. And I didn't have a lot of those early groups, to really join with, but it inspired me to love this stuff. And for getting YouTube and Twitch, it was a lot of other people on YouTube that I started watching people on YouTube. I started watching other content creators and some people that did Let's Plays and stuff, which is sort of I knew I couldn't do those, but it's sort of what could I do? And what do I love? And it makes me ask this question, and it inspired me to get into even doing things like here, or streamers on Twitch. You see some of them do their streams and you're like, wouldn't it be cool to do something? And that's why we're here now. It's the steps that we all take, that a lot of things inspire you, and take you along the path into what you need to go to. And I think we all find our inspiration in different ways, but it's good to find that inspiration, to grasp onto it, and push forward. That's a good one. All right, so I think we'll end for today. Why don't we, of course, have everybody go? We'll continue with the sort of system I've been doing. We'll reverse once again and like have everybody shill out everything that they want to do. Matt, why don't we start with you?
All right. You can also find me on. I've got 2 podcasts. My main one is my Magic the Gathering one, Magic with Zuby. That can be found on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, podcastradionetwork.net, gonnageek.com, and mtgcast.com. As you can tell, I've said that many, 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 many times. I used to have a script for that, but I've memorized it by now. But and then I also have my other one, which is a fairly newer podcast. It's called So Your Father's a Nerd. And it is with me and my buddy Alec, who I actually met playing Magic. And we started a podcast just basically talking about all things nerdy and how it applies to raising children.
I like that one. It's good. So
that one can also be found on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and TuneIn Radio as well.
Cool. All right, Josh.
All right, well, I'm just getting started. As I mentioned, I've been building up, working on creating a multimedia, informational and entertainment kind of channel with different shows. I'm going to share a screen that I have here. And pretty much what I'm doing is I'm creating some characters. I have 2 characters that I'll be role-playing as host of the shows. So instead of being myself as a DM or whatever, I'll be hosting myself as Archie, the tavern owner, who also travels and is a bard. And he'll be hosting, doing product reviews, and doing interviews like this, talking to different gamers, talking about what's happening in the gaming world. And my other show will be about crafting and painting, which is something I have no experience in, so I'm going to be bringing in professionals to guide me along the way as people can watch. And I'll be a gnome playing that one, a kind of a very flamboyant gnome with blue hair and everything else. I'll have goggles, blue hair. It's being crazy. I got a costume designer and a makeup artist all together. The whole idea, though, is to do what you were talking about, give people a resource that have no idea, should I get involved in this game? I'm planning on doing live play games, not just in Dungeons & Dragons, but like, for example, Tequendria. I might try new games that have nobody really has heard of, just to give them a shot and let people see how do they play. Does it look fun? Maybe I'll invest my money now and get into that. I really want to give people a resource to know how to play, know what to do, or what to say, and also learn a lot myself, because I'm kind of just entering this whole gaming community and the geek community, and I'm loving it. So that's why I'm creating this whole show, Winged Horizon.
Cool. It's a really good
awesome.
one. Yep. Arielle.
I got so entranced by what you were saying, I forgot it was my turn.
It's fine. It's fine.
So I'm Arielle, also known as Air Bubbles Cosplay. You can find me on Twitch under the same name, and then I have Facebook.
Wait.
What?
Oh.
Whoa! I can see it.
Uh-oh.
It's taking up the entire... the screen's getting, like, overrun with stuff. Give me a second. I can...
You shared your screen.
Oh, no.
I can't stop this. I can't do anything. The screen's been, like, over...
Stop sharing.
Okay, we're back to normal.
I was like, oh, God, what's
you
happening?
gotta warn me. You gotta warn me when we're doing something. I can set something up. But you have to warn me. All right.
That was really fun. Yeah, okay.
Yes, so... you were interrupted. On Twitter. I think we were on Twitter or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll go there. Twitter, that's good. I'm Airbubbles on Twitter. I'm Airbubbles Cosplay on Facebook. I am Captain Airbubbles on Tumblr because I gave myself a promotion. It's Captain CPT. I also play a lot of Destiny on PS4, and I'm Airbubbles12. If you're going to friend me, make a message and be like, I would love to play, instead of just randomly friending me, because then I probably will ignore it. Messages are great because strangers, I don't know. But currently, I am actually not working on anything for Magic right now. I am working on Una, the Sky Hunter from War Machine, which I'm hoping to have done for Lock and Load in July. And then if everything goes smoothly with that, I'm hoping to work on, if you saw on my Twitter, me, MJ, and the girl Erin hired an artist to make sort of Amonkhet inspired Nissa, Liliana, and Chandra costumes, which I would love to have at least some pieces done for Grand Prix Vegas. So, but yeah, I am gonna hopefully start streaming more of my work on Twitch, because I work with LEDs, smoke machines, sewing, Warbla. I like to do all that stuff. So if you ever have any questions, please feel free to poke me, email me. Okay, not physically poke me, because that'd weird me out a little.
You just
Message
show
me.
up and fuck.
How'd you find me? Message me. And email
Go to the pre-releases and poke Arielle.
Well, actually, that would be really entertaining. If you came to my house, I'd be a little weirded out. But
It's like, how did you get in here?
You have an invitation.
I love talking to people, so don't ever be shy if you see me. Just say hi, and yeah,
Poke hi.
poke hey.
And of course, for myself, you'll find me here tomorrow for Treasure of the Lost Legion we'll back to our normal time of 1 p.m. Eastern Standard. I will be back tomorrow evening or night technically, because it's 11 p.m. for my gaming stream, which I may or may not do more Stardew Valley. I don't know yet. It would be first week of summer if I do it, or something else. I'll figure it out. Yay. Other than that, back to normal schedule on the channel, all that stuff. Hopefully some cool new things coming soon, but it's all in work in progress, and you'll see announcements as it comes to pass. So, hey, you know what? I hope everybody has a great tabletop day, a great weekend then, and I will see you, of course, tomorrow, or, and Joe will probably be here then too, because, he shows up then. He tends to be one of those things, Mr. I don't have an online presence except to be in existence with me. I can say this because it's not here. All right, everybody. I'm glad you had a good time. I hope to see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I see it. Stopping by.